Hello, I'm Joe Tosca, Head of Customer Success at BetterCloud, and I'm excited to be leading today's session at Altitude 2021. We have a packed agenda today of a bunch of high-quality content. At the end, I'm looking forward to announcing and celebrating the winners of our annual SAS Ops Star Awards, given to those IT professionals who have embraced SaaS Ops and delivered real business impact for their companies. But before we get to the awards, first we get to hear from David Politis, BetterCloud CEO, and Brian Hoyt, CIO of Unity Technologies, as they share their perspectives on the evolution of IT and the evolving role of the CIO. Brian is Unity's first CIO, and among other things, was instrumental in strategically guiding the company's technology infrastructure and operations through a successful IPO. With that, I will hand it over to David.
Thank you so much, Joe. Thanks for the introduction. We are honored today to have Brian Hoyt with us. I met Brian a long time ago when he was CIO of App Dynamics, and now he's CIO of Unity. And so really excited to have you here, Brian.
My pleasure to be here. Thank you, David, for the invitation.
Awesome. Let's just get started. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got into IT originally?
Sure. Yeah, sure. My first role in IT was at DHL in Prague, in the Czech Republic, actually. And I was fortunate enough to get a spot, I think somewhat randomly, on the Siebel team. Being new to IT, I didn't really realize what a valuable skill that CRM was or would become. And it was kind of in the waning days of Siebel while Salesforce was on the uprise. And I got into a great sort of level 2, role there, and it was really a fantastic way to learn IT. DHL had literally a department for every single chapter of the ITIL framework. It was pretty interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how did you get from there to App Dynamics? Your first CIO role. I know you had a number of stops along the way.
Of course. Yeah. I moved on from there and worked more in the Salesforce implementation space for quite a while. I worked for a smaller startup in Germany. It was smaller as in 4 or 5 employees rather than 400,000 or 500,000 like DHL. So that was a bit of a shock. I probably should have waited a bit before going that because it was a shock to the system. But from there, I spent a lot of time really as an independent consultant in Force.com and Salesforce area, which I don't think they call it Force.com anymore actually now. So that shows how long ago it was. But I did a lot of implementations as a freelancer and enjoyed that and enjoyed working directly with sort of the sales ops teams rather than a part of a bigger IT team that sometimes needed to do things on their own agenda for their own reasons. So I spent a lot of time in that SaaS implementation space. And one of my clients was a small startup called App Dynamics. And they hired me initially as sort of an individual contributor, and I left the CIO. So that was over the span of about almost 5 years.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Well, I've known you for a while, and I'd say that if there was one line to describe your career in IT, I would say it's taking IT to new heights, and that's actually the theme for Altitude this year. And so I'd be curious to hear from you. How have you done that? How have you taken IT and made it more strategic in the organizations you've been a part of? Because I feel like the companies you've been a part of have grown just crazy fast. I mean, some of the fastest growing companies ever.
Yeah.
And IT's been a critical piece. How have you done that? How have you been strategic?
I think growth is its own imperative in some ways in an IT team, and you have to make sure that you're front and center there to be the provider of technologies that'll enable that scale. So in some ways, it's a natural thing, I think, as companies scale at that pace, that you really need to invest in these things, especially if you're thinking about, one day we might go public. Well, you need to be able to close the books and do all of these things that IT does well, partnering with our operations functions. So I think that the biggest thing is keeping up and trying to predict the growth of the business and partnering with the ops functions that are distributed across the business, right? If you don't have a good relationship with sales ops, et cetera, you're not going to have a proper CRM implementation because you're not following along with the business and helping it grow quicker. I think the convergence of technology and the operations functions by some initially look like a risk to IT's existence, but really if you get really good at that, if you get really good at those go-to-market technologies, you're going to be the first call for the sales ops team.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I've seen that you've taken all of technology in terms of workplace technology under your umbrella.
Yeah.
And you did that before. I've actually seen most companies do that. You took both the true IT systems and the business systems and brought them together.
Yep.
and then embedded inside of the business to deliver that. That was, I think when you started doing that App Dynamics, that was before most people were doing that.
Well, the one thing that I wanted to do is try to build a great team of people that had an operational mindset, that not necessarily had a big background in IT teams, but maybe in consulting. So when we look for people that are really great at business systems, we look to consulting organizations and partner and help scale. And I asked them, hey, what do you think if you step away from consulting and you don't have to fly to Des Moines anymore, and maybe you see what happens with your decision for 2 years instead of a quarter. So I think that was interesting for people that wanted to do something different. So the vision was to really build a team of these folks that can really help enable the business to grow and then give it away.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, the different skill sets, I think that's something we've talked about over this week of Altitude. We've talked a lot about the different skills necessary to be successful in IT. And even you said that it's not necessarily the traditional IT folks. It's those skills have changed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, really, it's a lot of soft skills. You need to be able to sit in with strategy meetings and understand the why of why you're doing there. You're not just writing code and shipping it, and that you really need to understand why you're doing it and how to engage with the business on their terms. And that's kind of something you got to constantly reinvent as a company scales like we've experienced.
Yeah. What do you think are the biggest challenges that you've faced? So as you've been part of these two hyper-growth companies, taking Unity through an IPO, taking App Dynamics through a massive acquisition by Cisco, what are the challenges that you've faced as you've tried to make IT strategic, and you've it's again taken this very cutting edge approach to running IT, but I'm sure you ran into challenges while trying to do that.
Yeah, the road is never straight.
Yeah.
I think for anybody in an IT leadership role, it's having to accomplish things with a limited set of resources, right? We're never going to get the resource of a product team, or a revenue team, because that's what you really need, right? We have to be able to find efficiencies as the company grows. So there's a lot of times that we say, I'm going to say no, but that's oversimplifies. It's really not now, right? I have 13 projects and 14 or 7 cycles that I can devote to it this quarter. And it's a constant pressure test of intellectual honesty around, are you really being truthful? Are you guarding? Are you being honest about how many cycles you have to devote to something? So I think really you have to earn your way to that place with your business to say that it's not because we don't want to do it. It's not because we don't know how to do it. It's because I'm doing this other thing and it's more important. And I know it's not more important to you, but it's more important if we're going to get to this larger goal. So, I think the first bits when you come in, it's a lot of that. It's a lot of saying look, I have to focus on one thing, not 75, right? Because there's always 75 things.
I've talked to other IT leaders who have told me actually that building credibility is the critical. It takes time, especially for IT, who's traditionally not seen as this partner to the business. But when you build the credibility, you get buy-in from the business.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a long time. And especially when you're getting started saying no, when your first words in the door, well, listen, I've got to do this, and because this is my charter right now, and it really is hard to build credibility. I haven't been a CIO in a non-sort of software company, but I think it's different for us because I'm not the most talented technologist in the business, right? We have people with PhDs and patents and all types of things, and they're probably smarter than me, and and I don't own every piece of technology in the business. Right, we have cutting-edge software that's used by incredible companies that build world-class products, and sometimes mine's a lot more simple. Let's close the books, and and it's really about sticking to what you're doing and having a commitment to execution. To my mind, the execution is something you really can't get wrong. Right, when we say we're going to do something, we have to do it.
Do you, when you think about the history that you've had in these companies, and you think about what has gotten you credibility, or let's say projects that you've worked on that have been game-changing to the business that stick out. Can you share maybe one or two of those that stick out?
Sure. I mean, I think, going back a bit, especially at App Dynamics, I can remember several projects where we had a big major product strategy with a hard line, something like your conference, we would have at App Dynamics, we have to announce it this day. And so we have to be able to sell something that we currently don't have the capacity because of me, because of a system I managed to make that happen. Or because of alignment issues or whatever we're working through, and sort of pulling those things off by that deadline where the product teams are working, the biz ops teams are working, and IT's working to really make sure that everything's ready to go on that day. That's a great way to earn credibility, right? You as a CEO, if you don't have to worry about that as the short leg of the stool or whatever, then I think it helps. When I think about more recent things, I think we've done some pretty, I think, audacious things that maybe wouldn't be advisable even. I've had a number of friends of mine who are also CIOs told me, you're crazy, you're going to get fired if you do this. But we replaced, we had just finished an ERP implementation, which was like, it took a while and was painful. It always is with this. And then we decided to redo it with a brand new stack next year, a year before going public. So, that's a bit of a fly into the sun model, but the thing that enables that is, first of all, having a great partnership with the head of accounting, our controller. She's been a great advocate for us, and we've delivered some amazing things. And then having a CEO, or being able to sell your vision to the CEO, saying, if you guys think this is the right thing to do, it does seem a little bit crazy, let's go and do it if it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
So,
back to building credibility, back to being embedded in the business, understanding what's needed.
Absolutely.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
What advice do you have for people? I mean, a lot of the people who are attending this and watching this are people who want to be in your shoes at some point in time. What advice do you have for them? Maybe what advice would you have for yourself earlier in your career, knowing what you know today?
I think the remit is broad of what you need to understand technically. And it's not necessary to understand everything at a fundamentally technical level. Like, I don't know anything about networking really from a technical perspective, but and sometimes those things make you itchy, because especially if you come in from a technical point of view, right, you really want to understand the nuts and bolts of things, but you can't. You just can't. And if you think you do, you still can't. So, my best advice, I think, on that is to, there's lots of ways into this role. It doesn't necessarily have to be from a very, very technical career path, right? And even if it is, you're going to grow out of that real quick, because I don't know. You've got to trust the team that you build. You just absolutely have to trust the team that you build, advocate for them, and make sure that the work that they do is perceived well, and also build a culture where execution is just assumed.
It's that when you talk about the technology and not coming in from a technology path, we were discussing, we had lunch a couple weeks ago about how even the skills needed for IT, even what's required of IT has changed so much over even the last, 20 years, 30 years. Can you talk a little bit about that, of what you've seen?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's really solving business problems with systems, right? That's what it is. I think, of course, you need to have a technical awareness of this, but you really need to be able to communicate well with your operations peers and give them confidence that you understand the problems. Even if you have to say, we can't do it this way for these reasons, which are valid, I do understand the problem, but maybe we could do it next quarter, right? Or maybe it's next year, So I think really building that credibility and communicating is actually really critical. There's different layers, obviously, of how people interact in IT teams. Some of it's technical, some of it engineering, technology skills. I think for us, integration, Workday, Salesforce, this type of business systems, SaaS only stack. These are hot commodity skills now, and they're different from what they were 5 years ago, and probably very different than what a lot of corporations have in their IT departments now, because we were born in a time where we could be SaaS only, right? So I think it's those SaaS skills from a technical perspective. I think integration is critical for all of these things to make sure that this data flows between these systems. At the end of the day, most people only interact with it at one layer.
When you say that about people not having a lot of these skills in some of the bigger, more, let's say, legacy corporations, it was interesting. After COVID happened, I talked to a CIO at a big bank, and he said, I need help to find people. Because in the last 2 weeks, we've been driven to go SaaS for Zoom, and now we're using this thing, and I don't have anyone, not a single person on staff who's ever manage a SaaS application, you know?
I mean, it was for again, whether it's Zoom or Workday or whatever, we're competing with Zoom and Workday to hire people to come in, to work for us, and consulting too, right? Like I mentioned, that's a road in, right? And I think we're all competing over people with these types of highly in demand skills.
Yeah, that's why this for me, this conference and educating this group of professionals is so exciting, because this is the future. I mean, this is the future of IT, and if people understand the skills you're talking about, hard skills and soft, that's going to make their career. I mean, in my view, that's going to make their career.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think there's like I said initially, I had no idea what I had when I got on the Siebel team. Right, I had no idea what that was all about, but then I figured out that this is a really huge market, and CRM was something that could take you different places in your career, and many technologies are like that. It's not necessarily Siebel anymore, but there are other things like that.
And so SaaS, we talk about SaaS obviously a lot, and you've seen the rise of SaaS in the enterprise. What do you think is going to happen in the next 5, 10 years? Like, do you think that the number of SaaS apps, I mean, now it's in the hundreds being used on average in an organization. Do you think that's going to continue at that pace? Do you think there's going to be?
There's nothing we can do. It's all it's all out of the door now. And there's nothing we can do. And in a company, it depends on the company culture. But I strongly believe that I'm not there to prevent anyone from using a tool that lets them do their job better. And if I was, I would go crazy, right? Because when it gets to a scale, sure, we'll take it on and help you manage it, and maybe there's a cost conversation to be had eventually. It's nice to centralize over time, but when you're trying to have a fast-growing company, I don't want to be a bottleneck, right? I'd rather manage a larger environment that's more unknown than risk that.
Yeah, and I think I'm starting to hear of people who are asking for what the tech stack is when they're applying for jobs even,
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's critical, like, that.
Yeah, that's interesting to me, is like we're reaching a point where people are looking for jobs, and especially in this market like we're in today, and they're actually able to say, well, I'm only going to come there if you use this and this and this.
I think that's right. I mean, you see those with like more fundamental things, but like I think especially in software, the engineers love Gmail and they love Slack. But some of the back office folks, they hate both of them, and they'd rather have it. And there's just no way to please everyone on that. So those are fundamental things. Like if I was applying for a job and there was SAP, I don't know anything about that. Like, I'm not going to be successful. So I can understand that.
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, Brian, look, I really appreciate you being here. This has been an honor, something I've been wanting to do for years.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much for coming, and hope everyone enjoyed. Thank you.
Wow, Brian and David, that was amazing. Thank you for those compelling insights about the evolving role of the CIO in IT. At BetterCloud, we want to recognize those IT professionals that are transforming the role of IT within their companies, much like Brian has done at Unity. That's why we created the SAS App Star Awards. The SAS App Star Awards celebrate innovative individuals and teams that have transformed their companies, careers in the IT industry. This year, we have 5 award categories: the Orchestration Wizard, the Security Specialist, the Discovery Detective, the SaaSOps Rookie of the Year, and the SaaSOps Superhero of the Year. Without further ado, let's hear from our winners.
The SaaSOps Stars Awards are highly coveted.
We love to recognize and award IT professionals that are transforming the role of IT inside the organization.
And just wanted to let you all know that your team has been selected this year.
I'm humbled by it because I think there's a lot of great people in the space.
That's excellent. Congratulations, team.
I wanted to let you know that you, Chloe, have been selected as this year's winner for Discovery Detective SaaSOps Star Awards. Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Welcome.
That's so exciting.
What am I going to do next? Lots more integrations, I think.
You, John, have actually been selected this year for the SaaSOps Superhero of the Year.
Well, wow. I'm incredibly flattered, not just because it has superhero in the name, because I'm a huge superhero nerd.
I'm so proud of everything that you guys have been doing. I know you've been working so hard.
It's just great to be highlighted in an industry that I do care a lot about.
We're glad to have you as part of our team here at BetterCloud, and looking forward to seeing you at Alpha 2.
That was awesome. These winners exemplify what it means to be a SaaS Ops leader. I'd like to share with you their important accomplishments and how they took advantage of their SaaS Ops expertise in delivering real business value to their organizations. The orchestration wizard has perfected the art of automation, seamlessly managing users and IT operational needs, saving time, minimizing human error, and securing the company's data. This year's winner, Gareth Thomas from Ocado, is chartered with making sure Ocado's 8,000 users work the same way wherever they are in the world. By replacing custom on-prem legacy applications with the standardized off-the-shelf SaaS-powered digital workplace. Among his many achievements, Gareth created innovative BetterCloud integrations, utilizing custom triggers to add actions not native to BetterCloud. The end result is that he's been able to bring 10 to 15 more applications into active IT management without adding additional IT headcount, all while helping modernize his company's workforce. So a big congratulations to Gareth, our 2021 orchestration wizard. The Discovery Detective takes great advantage of increased visibility to understand, prioritize, and rein in shadow IT to gain better efficiencies. This year's winner, HelloFresh's Associate Director of Technology, Chloe Bouquet, began her odyssey to her award by helping the company manage its 100% annual headcount growth by automating onboarding and offboarding. After that, she uncovered new productivity improvements and SaaS efficiencies by leveraging BetterCloud Discover. With global visibility into thousands of SaaS apps and users, Chloe helped to reduce improper use of the domain, consolidate multiple instances of SaaS apps, and brought multiple tools out of the shadows and into IT management. She's also been instrumental in consolidating accounts to save licenses. This is why Chloe is the 2021 Discovery Detective. The SaaSOps Superhero of the Year Award recognizes those who exemplify SaaSOps best practices, constantly focusing on productivity improvements, consistently delivering a one-of-a-kind employee experience. This year's winner, John A. Villas of Ibotta, makes SaaS operations look easy. With nearly 1,000 users and 110 apps, of which only half are IT sanctioned, John relies on his 5 team members in BetterCloud to automate and manage everything. They have already integrated 16 apps into BetterCloud workflows and are planning to add 30 more. John has also helped his company earn SOC 2 compliance with the use of BetterCloud's alerting. John tirelessly advocates for his users and their productivity, and he brings that spirit of advocacy to the SaaSOps community, where he frequently shares SaaSOps best practices to help others. For these reasons, John is the 2021 SaaSOps Superhero of the Year. The Security Specialist winner keeps their organization's security posture and compliance requirements top of mind and is ever vigilant in preventing data exposure. This year's winner, Ben Silber of 605, says his main goal is to uphold all client and partner agreements. He also works tirelessly at keeping his company out of the news while building out scalable, reliable, and repeatable processes for a thriving, productive user base. In fact, to prevent data loss without sacrificing productivity, Ben relies on his 11 unique 50-step workflows to securely automate strict user offboarding, content scanning, and alerting and securing nearly 2 million files. I'd like to congratulate Ben for helping his company stay secure, earning them their SOC 2 certification, and winning the 2021 Security Specialist Award. The SaaSOps Rookie of the Year Award is for those that are new to the SaaSOps community and who have hit the ground running. The winning team at VMware, Brian Hoyt, Shane Belden, Shankar Padmanabhan, Alexis Lutz, and Sanjay Saha, is responsible for transforming their large enterprise into a modern workplace. This team established a SaaS operations center of excellence and uses custom integrations and custom triggers for on and offboarding actions. The result is that VMware speeds their new employees' time to productivity while offering a positive, personalized day one experience. For offboarding, VMware ensures licenses are reclaimed as soon as the user leaves, saving valuable licensing fees. Making such rapid progress has earned them the SaaSOps Rookie of the Year for 2021. A special thank you to all the winners and nominees. Keep up the amazing work, and thank you for continuing to raise the bar for our industry. Please stick around for some in-depth product sessions and workshops following this keynote. Also, don't forget to take advantage of our free certification prep and exam session at the end of the day. This is a phenomenal way to showcase your BetterCloud expertise.